What's going on, everyone? It's Harry here, and I'm back with another video. Also back with another lens, a slightly different setup. I have a light. That's all I have for right now. Today's topic is going to be about Windows 10. As much as I, enjoy Windows 10, and I'm very thankful that we escaped the horrible Armageddon that was Windows 8 and 8.1, I still have a lot of qualms with Windows, and especially Windows 10. There's a lot of reasons I don't like it, and there are 9 reasons exactly why I don't like it. Now you're probably asking, why 9 reasons? Like, why not, why not make it a top 10 list rather than a top 9 list? Well, the answer to that is I am getting tired of top 10 lists. I don't want top 10 lists. I want a top 9 lists, or I want a top, 3.5 lists. I want something odd. So here it is, top 9 reasons why I hate Windows 10. Starting with number 9, why I hate Windows 10. Windows 10 is just plain slow. Okay, yes, we do live in the world of M.2 drives, SSDs, and PCI Express storage. We live in that world, yes, and therefore pretty much every operating system now is incredibly fast because of the hardware that it's running on. The problem is, if you have Windows 10 on, say, an HDD, if you have Windows 10 on one of those, it's horribly slow. And if you have, a substantial amount of programs, like myself, it runs really, really slow. The boot up sequence is maybe about, a minute. And then after that, once you sign in, it takes 3 freaking minutes for, if you press Chrome, it just doesn't launch programs really fast. Whereas, for example, another operating system by another company, I have used a lot of those computers that still had, 1 terabyte, HDDs in them. And the computer would boot up fairly fast. Once you signed in, pretty much everything was loaded and ready to go. And yes, that's what I'm comparing Windows 10 to. Windows 10, if you put it in the same scenario, it doesn't perform. It's slow, it's kind of meh to boot up, and then once you actually get logged in, that's when the real trouble begins. But even beyond HDDs, even on SSDs and really good hardware, Windows 10 can just be kind of just slow to respond sometimes. That's my number 9 reason. Windows 10 is just plain slow. I was trying to think of some analogy to draw you in and to think of something clever and funny. It's oh dude, I totally get that, I totally relate. Well, I can't think of it. All I'm gonna say is I'm sick of the mix mash of the different eras and the different fonts, the different styles, there's a third reason, I don't know. I'm tired of the mix mash of just ridiculousness that is the Windows graphical user interface. I understand that every iteration of Windows has built off one another. I mean, every other operating system is pretty much the same way, but when you just leave elements of older generations in there completely without any change, and then another generation later you roll out more elements, but you still have these old elements, why? Just really, why? The most obvious offender and best example of this is the settings and the control panel menu. Settings can be useful sometimes, but when you click on something in settings and it defaults to the control panel, I just kind of snicker inwardly, and I'm just heh, that's just stupid. And frankly, it is. Why do you have 2? It's redundant. You don't need both. There are already 100 ways to do one thing in Windows. Why do we need the 101st of that, or the 105th? Why do we need that? We don't. There are other things like the disk management utility that hasn't been touched since Windows XP. You do realize that there are kids about to graduate high school who were born back when Windows XP first came out. Think about that. They've gone through childhood and teenage years, and they're about to go into college or are already in college. And there are still elements from a really, really old operating system. why? If you're gonna implement, settings or something like that, or a different app that's like whatever else that's been in the past that's still there, make it useful. Give the users a reason to always go to that mainly because it's the only one there, because that's what it should be. I'll be honest, I'm partial to control panel. I really like control panel. I wish they would have never brought settings into this, and for a variety of reasons that I've just described, and just kept with control panel. Update it, make the UI all fresh. When you click uninstall programs, allow it to actually load everything in. But yes, that's number 8 of why I hate Windows 10. Number 7 of why I hate Windows 10. All of the random bugs that infest the Windows 10 operating system. Now, I gotta go a little bit easy on this one. Windows has come a long way, mostly. Actually, never mind. I never recall any other versions of Windows crashing as much as 10 does. Is 10 terrible in terms of the random bugs and crashing? It depends. It depends on what you're doing. I've been on so many forums where people just say, oh yeah, Windows crashed here, Windows crashed here. Other people will say the exact opposite. With Windows, it is such a varied experience across all boards. It's really difficult to pinpoint problems and stuff like that. But yes, for the most part, Windows 10 just has random bugs. UI glitches are very common. How about when you click the notifications tray and it kind of slides out, or it kind of glitches, or it'll slide out twice or something like that? Yeah, that happens. I don't know. What about Windows just giving up completely? I've had that happen before. I think Windows had just booted and all of a sudden it just blue screen of death. Your PC ran into a problem and needs to be restarted. Okay, that face, take the face off of the blue screen. The blue screen is enough to let me know that something went wrong and to make me worried that my computer is broken. Or let's not forget when Windows just freezes completely. Nope, nothing else, just Windows completely freezes. I also remember the random bug with the taskbar where you would click the start button and the taskbar didn't work. Icons on the desktop worked, but the taskbar did not work at all, and icons on the taskbar were useless. I remember that. That was a lot of fun. And just the overall just kind of random hitches it has mainly with UI elements. Yes, there is the whole Windows scaling thing. That's also something else that's just kind of annoying. Windows 10 does a decent job at that for the most part. But yes, there's nothing like feeling like you're just using just stuff that isn't completely thought out super well, or isn't, fully coded right, when, you have an icon just glitch out on you, or you go to click on that notification that comes up and it kind of hitches and goes back and then it comes back out again. Just, you know what I'm talking about? Just stuff like that. It's annoying, and it's a random bug that doesn't need to be there. It needs to be squashed. All right, that was my 7th reason of why I hate Windows 10. Number 6 of why I hate Windows 10. What is the first thing that you do when you get a new computer that runs Windows 10? But you should go directly to the control panel, go to programs, and uninstall all of the stupid bloatware that comes with it. Why Microsoft allows people to just install a bunch of ridiculous garbage. You have Acer, you have Dell, you have HP. Just though, I don't even need a name anymore. Just 3 companies right there. They just install so much ridiculous baloney on their machines. And just for what? Nobody is going to use them. Even the people that I've met who don't care about computers, they literally just want to surf the web and write their, paper or write their essay. They don't care about using those crappy ecosystems that are thought up and then shoved forcefully, into the programs list on a new Windows 10 laptop. I don't get why companies spend a little bit of money to shoehorn in these terrible programs that are there. You're not Apple. It's never going to be complete and form this nice little garden. It's not with that effort, not with forcefully, installing different, things onto Windows 10 when Windows 10 should really be left at stock. It's not even Microsoft has stock Windows. Microsoft, they install Candy Crush and a whole bunch of other, just dumb games. Of course, yes, you can just uninstall these, but why are they there in the first place? Seriously, I remember when my grandparents bought a Dell laptop, which is actually still running very well to this day. It came with Windows 7, and it also came with a whole bunch of Dell's like just dumb ideas. Of course, all of those dumb ideas need to be uninstalled, which just takes up time. You spend 30 minutes just going through, hitting uninstall, and just taking, like, it just takes forever. You spend your first 30 minutes with the computer uninstalling all of the stuff that never should have been there in the first place. With Dell's stuff on Windows 7, they had this stupid idea of a dock that looked kind of similar to what like macOS has. They also had a bunch of just like widgets and things like that, just things you don't need. You can click the Chrome button and instantly, like search what the weather is. Like, why is having this thing on my desktop that takes up a good portion of it for the weather or for a clock? There's a digital clock right there that works perfectly fine, and it comes built in with Windows. We don't need anything else. But yes, I could go on and on about this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to stop. Number 5, the reason that I hate Windows 10 is the stupid ecosystem that Windows 10 has. Windows 10 has an ecosystem of apps more than any other Windows before it. I remember when with Windows, if you wanted a certain application, you went and downloaded that application and you installed it. I love that. There's almost always a Windows developed app that you can download from some backwater website. Yet now Windows 10 has an ecosystem of apps that they do their best to remind you that they're there and that they're very much present. All right, let's see, what do you have with Windows 10? What are 3 apps that I can think of? Oh, the Photos app, the Grooves Music app, and the Movies and TV app. Movies and TV? How much more generic can you get? Oh, this is my video watching app. It's actually called Video Watching app. Hey dude, just load that video into Video Watching app. Like, that's basically Movies and TV. That name is bad. But take this ecosystem of apps. Who uses them? The people who use them are the people who don't care or don't know any better that there are other apps like VLC. Oh, VLC again to play, music. Or you can even default to using, Windows Media Player, which I would argue is, I think it's better than Groove Music. I'm sorry if that irks some people, but it's basically like the Windows equivalent of iTunes, except without all of the bloat. Like, I still to this day occasionally use Windows Media Player for certain things, like burning a CD because somebody, wants one for some reason. You have to admit that it was much more useful, and I was on it a lot more back when it was much more relevant. And the fact that there's a new solution, it's not even an alternative. There's a new solution to how you listen to music on Windows 10, and yet I don't go to it, but I went to Windows Media Player. I was more than glad to go to Windows Media Player because I liked how it, kept track of all your music. You could search for album art, you could put it in. Beyond that, going back to what I was saying earlier about redundant UI and redundant applications and stuff like that, you have control panel and settings. I'm still wanting to use control panel for most things. I can't for some things, they've divided it. But it's stupid. It's a dumb ecosystem. You have the Microsoft Store now. That's annoying because, they say you need to download this app. Oh wait, I can't because it's behind a paywall now. Whereas before, it wasn't behind a paywall with, Windows 7 and things like that. But no, now it's behind a paywall. Now I have to spend money to get it, and it's not even good anymore. I'm going insane. Like, this is actually making me upset. That was number 5 of why I hate Windows 10. Number 4 of why I hate Windows 10 is forced updates. Now let's address why Microsoft does this first and foremost. My number 1 and only hope of why they force updates is because they don't want machines to get super behind on updates and then be vulnerable to malware attacks. Windows 10 forces updates because of things like WannaCry and all of the other ridiculous, viruses that have rampaged and costed, companies millions upon millions of dollars. That there is a reason why they do this. I just wish that there was a good way to turn it off. and there isn't, unless you do a bunch of weird stuff. No, none of that. I don't want to deal with some of the ridiculous registry things that you can do, because I'm about to here in a little bit. But no, I want to have a option in Windows that allows me to just stop updates. Now let me tell you why I would like that. The first thing is, it's incredibly depressing when instead of seeing sleep or shut down, you see update and restart and update and shut down. My scenario is that I've done a fair amount of live production, and in these live production situations where you're doing, live audio, live video, you're doing things with graphics and stuff like that, you can't have a machine that wants to randomly update, because that can really mess things up. First off, it can mess up compatibility with different types of software or even hardware. Now, I will say that unless you update like a full version of Windows, generally compatibility between software and hardware will be okay, but there are cases where it has not been. But my biggest gripe is when you go to shut a computer off, and lo and behold, it says update and restart or update and shut down. What do I always do in those scenarios? Well, first off, I kick the floor, I hit update and restart, and then I wait for however long it takes, because I don't want to shut the computer down, have it update, or we'll have it update and then shut down, come back to it, need to power it on, in a timely manner, and oh wait, I can't do this thing now. Hey guys, whoa, everybody stop, wait on Harry. He's got his Windows 10 computer over here that needs to update. Give me 5 minutes. Now, is it the biggest gripe in the world? No, there are bigger gripes, which I'm gonna be getting to, but it's still annoying. Like, please, allow the users who know what they're doing, allow us to customize Windows so that we can not have updates. And then when, when we need to update, we can. Like, it's so irritating having to deal with Windows just wanting to updates, and it forces them. Unlike other operating systems, I'm just gonna say it, Mac OS, where you can just keep hitting later, details, click out of the App Store later. That's annoying. But you can do that. It's irritating to deal with, but it's better than, it saves the irritation of Windows just updating. Hey, update and shut down or update and restart? Which one do you choose? Update and restart. All right, number 3 of why I hate Windows 10. This one's gonna be on the Registry Nightmare. The registry on Windows 10 is terrible. The claim when you look it up is that it is a hierarchy, system, or hierarchical system, whatever you want to say. Apps just all the time fail to fully uninstall themselves. They leave junk on your computer. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video about Windows being slow? This is a huge reason why. The whole Windows rot, that is a thing. It rots from the inside out because it has tons of useless files everywhere. There are videos on YouTube that show you how to go into Windows, and you can find folder upon folder of temporary files that you can Control A and just delete all of them, and you free up several gigs of space within the registry, allowing your computer to run faster. Well, that is before it fills all of those folders back up with useless junk and data. It kind of is like a small child. A small child does not know that it needs to clean up after itself. Or actually, wait, what am I saying? Even most guys don't even know to clean up after themselves. Okay, bad example, but it's a person that goes around and just leaves a trail of just wreckage in their wake, and it's annoying. It's just like, oh, here are all these dishes I have everywhere. Oh, look, I spilled food on the floor. I'm not going to clean it up. Just not taking care of things, not tidying up, not sweeping out the dust, not, vacuuming every once in a while. It's just kind of ridiculous how Windows just leaves files everywhere. I find apps from a company like iObit that allow you to just, clean out a bunch of, junk and stuff like that from a newly installed app. But no, Windows just leaves everything, and you can't find an app that will fully uninstall itself. It like does not exist. That's what contributes to problem number 10, or wait, excuse me, I'm not making a top 10 list, I'm making a top 9 list because Windows 9. This is the thing that contributes to problem number 9, where you have, Windows just being slow. Because the processor and the hardware has to go through so many stupid files. It can't do that. Seriously, you have like the messiest person on earth that's running like all of your programs. That was number 3 of why I hate Windows 10. Now for the final 2. Number 2 of why I hate Windows 10 is the privacy issues. I don't even know where to begin with this problem. All I will say is that yes, Microsoft absolutely does spy on you. They absolutely do sell your data to third-party companies. I heard a saying where if the product is free, then what you think is the product is not actually the product, and instead what is using the product is the product. In this case, like with Google, with Microsoft, and with other companies who offer, these free apps, I'm just saying the Google suite of apps like Slides, Google Docs, Google Sheets, like all of those, that type of stuff, that's pretty interesting, but it's keeping track of your every move. I think I heard it said by somebody that anything you put into Google Drive is immediately scanned and they see what they can learn. With Windows 10 was free for a lot of people. It was free. That's never happened before. You have had to pay for every version of Windows up until Windows 10. Oh, and then all these privacy changes started being made. That's interesting. It's because Microsoft had to make up revenue in some way. So they sell your data to third-party companies for quite a bit of money. The best thing you can do is to look up, an article or a video about blocking as much access to your PC as possible with what you can do. You really cannot turn off all tracking data unless you get the enterprise version of Windows, which is more expensive and you're gonna have to pay more. I guess you gotta make up that revenue some way. I don't really know what else to say, and frankly, I don't really know how it all works. I'm just gonna be upfront, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know how it all works. All I know is that the ridiculous amount of access that Microsoft has to each individual PC that is online is not fair at all. It's really, really not fair. On top of that, Microsoft has backdoor access into Windows machines, so that in the case of the police went to see something that was on a person's computer and they've just locked it and they can't police can't figure out how to get into it, Microsoft has plenty of tools for how to get into a machine, that someone really didn't want to have other people looking at. Whether that is for good or bad, it's still privacy. And I know Apple, for example, they did have a scenario where the police wanted into an iPhone and Apple would not give it to them because it violated their terms of service. Microsoft does not have those same terms of service. They sell your data to third-party companies, and they do it so that they can make money. It's very, very unfortunate, to say the least. That was my second reason of why I hate Windows 10. My number 1 reason why I hate Windows 10 is because Windows 10 is spyware. Now, I just got done talking about how Windows is invasive and does not respect people's wishes of wanting to be left alone, but I found an interesting article on Windows 10 that somebody wrote, and it's incredibly fascinating to me because it's pretty well put together, and on top of that, there are a whole slew of answers and things it exposes about Windows that I honestly didn't even know. I'll have it linked below. Now, this heading here is called "Why Was Windows 10 Spyware?" It stopped being so after July 29th, 2016. That was the last day that you could officially get Windows 10 for free. Why is Windows 10 spyware? Because it has all the attributes of spyware. Downloads itself to your machine without you specifically asking for it. That was very much true in the beginning. That's how I got it. So the answer is yes. Aggressively attempts to install itself, taking over your computer in the process. I would agree with that to a certain degree. I allowed it to be installed. I do believe there were people who came back and their machine was just Windows 10. Okay, so that's totally a thing. Sends unknown or encrypted data to known and unknown third parties. We just talked about that. The answer is yes. Sends personally identifying information to known and unknown third parties. Yep, and difficult to remove. Yes, it's difficult to remove. As in, if you remove it, Windows does not work. In short, it looks like spyware, smells like spyware, walks like spyware, and talks like spyware. Windows 10 is spyware. Oh, wow. So in short, yes, Windows 10 is spyware. Or, yes, I know, you can't download it officially for free anymore, and it doesn't like forcefully download itself onto people's computers. That is true. But yeah, Windows 10 definitely has and had the appearance of spyware, which I think is just ridiculous to me. I don't understand that. In closing, I will say this. I still use Windows 10 and I don't plan to switch from it. I very much like it and I have nothing to hide. My only concern though is if I was wrongly accused of doing something, who's to say that that information couldn't suddenly slip into the public view or slip into the wrong person's hands and then they would use it against me? I've really wondered that. In short, Windows has a lot of problems with it, but maybe I'll make a video focusing on the positive aspects of Windows and why I use it and why I continue to use it and why I really do appreciate a lot of the things about it. This was a video just letting me kind of pound Windows into the ground a little bit for some of the dumb things that it does and some of the dumb things that it continues to do. I feel a little bit better now that I've kind of vented, I've gotten all this out. Okay, well, you're probably looking over to my left, looking for another video. I highly recommend that you do that, or you look at some of the other videos that I've made. Please subscribe and please like my video. That sounds very desperate. I'm very desperate. I want you to subscribe. If you watch this channel, please subscribe. All right, that's enough. I'm leaving. It's terrible, and it's awful, and it's horrible, and it's ridiculous, and it's just so pompous and grandiose. Okay, I gotta stop. It is really raining outside right now. Stuff they literally took out of Windows. Stuff that used to be good and it just came with Windows and nobody questioned it. They took it out, put a price tag on it, and then made it terrible. I kicked the floor. How do you kick the floor? I guess you could do that. Oh great, my computer just decided to come on. How ironic. The claim, if you look it up, the claim is that it is a hierarchical system. Hierarchical. It's a person that goes around and just leaves a trail of whatever behind it. Her, him, what?